Hey guys, it's Movie Man. I know I've not been doing my videos for a while, but I am back and I have a ton of videos and a ton of ideas to do. So I'm going to start off right now with a video that I thought of early this morning. Um, I thought I'd like to discuss The Wizard of Oz. And this video will be about The Wizard of Oz and how it's basically, well, to me, I believe, it's a miracle that the film turned out to be such a massive phenomenon and that it's a landmark of cinema that it is today. But a lot of people, so, a good amount of people do, but most people I know aren't aware of the amount of production troubles that this film ran into and the onset problems and the amount of directors that came and went. So I'm going to break down all of it and discuss The Wizard of Oz, behind the scenes, production problems, and how it really is a miracle that this film is such a national treasure to film goers and just to the general people and everyone around the world who enjoys this classic landmark of a film. So, The Wizard of Oz. So, as everyone knows, the tale about The Wizard of Oz, that Judy Garland was Dorothy Gale, and she forever will be Dorothy. But a lot of people do not know that the first choice, that the studio loved Judy Garland. Like MGM loved her, but they actually thought that her name is Shirley Temple. They thought Shirley Temple was a better fit for the role as Dorothy. What they wanted her to appear younger in the story, and they thought Judy was a little older, and Shirley would have been a better fit for her age. But the only issue was that they didn't think she had the voice, though, vocally to carry the movie. So they went with Judy Garland. And then you also have, on top of that now, when the film first got off the ground, it was not an easy feat for them to do. There was many problems that they had, and one of the massive ones being is the directors. There were about 5 directors that contributed to this movie, and I'm going to break down every single one and how they contributed massively. If you see me looking away and glaring off, don't be worried. It's just I wrote down notes and helping me keeping at a better pace and keeping this going. So, therefore, there were 4 directors on the film that it was ultimately credited by, as everyone knows, Victor Filming. By Victor Filming. I went too fast there. But the three contributed massively. I'll get into the other 2 after in a bit. To the film, Richard Thorpe. He directed the film for only 2 weeks. He was the first director that was fired, actually. Due to the tone he was setting in the movie, the studio wasn't happy, and they wanted the film to be more of a magical and cute tone for the movie, and he wasn't bringing in that direction. He was making it something totally different, and so the studio decided to part ways with Richard Thorpe, and then they had to go look for, the producers had to go seek out another director since they fired the first director. And also, initially, Judy Garland was supposed to have, she was wearing a blonde wig and had incredibly heavy makeup to the point where she looked like kind of like a doll. And there was so much heavy makeup that she didn't really look like that girl from Kansas. So that would have been interesting, but yeah, a lot of people don't know that. Then the second director was George, trying to pronounce this last name. I'm probably going to butcher this last name. Cukor. He was apparently a perfect fit for the film. But he was only, the thing is, he was a perfect fit for the film, and the studio loved him. The only problem was he was only available for a few weeks, because he was involved in Gone with the Wind, so he was only available for such a short span of time. But he still contributed to the film, nevertheless. And so, with his busy schedule, he shifted a massive amount of things within the small span of time that he had for the movie. And the things he changed while he was involved before he went on to do Gone with the Wind was he changed Judy's makeup. He changed the Scarecrow's costumes. And he even suggested a new hairstyle for Margaret Hamilton. And even said that Jack Haley, who we know played the Tin Man, he even suggested that he would be a perfect fit for the Tin Man. So without him, without George, we would not have the amazing Jack Haley that we have in the film. So people have to acknowledge the massive amount of credit that this man should deserve for his huge contribution to The Wizard of Oz. Leading on to our fifth one here. So once George left, because, like I mentioned, he was doing Gone with the Wind, the producers had to look for another director, once again. So they got Mervyn LeRoy to choose Victor Fleming, as we know, who got the final directing credit on the film. And he agreed, and he was happy to make the film due to his daughters. He did it for his daughters because he wanted to make a film that would appeal to kids and that kids could watch and was a very cute and kid-friendly kind of film, which is what the studio really, really liked. And so, makes the film. And filming was going well, and while he was doing the film, everything was going fine, and filming was going smoothly. And then one night, he gets a call from the production of Gone with the Wind, and they needed his help so badly. They were so desperate to get his assistance on that movie that he had to go. So even though he was such an integral part and everything was going greatly, the production crew from Gone with the Wind had to kind of pull him aside and say, we need your help. So Victor Fleming had to unfortunately leave due to his previous engagements. And again, the producers had no director again. So what happens? They were struggling to find someone else. Only a few weeks left before finishing. They got the director King Vidor, and he was incredibly happy to work with on the film, since Victor Fleming did a lot of the filming of it, and you also had the other filmmakers who also helped already film half of the movie. Victor only had a small amount of filming left, so he worked for about 2.5 weeks, and he was also another one that had a massive integral part of the film, and I'll explain why. He was the one, for the 2 weeks he was working on the movie, he shot most of the Kansas stuff. He even was the one who filmed Over the Rainbow and was on set for that. And now I'll get to so those were the directors, and it's shocking to me. I'll get to my other points in a minute, but I just find it amazing that this film had 4 to 5 directors, and each of them came and left, but they all contributed a massive amount of impactful direction on their part to the film that makes the film what it is. And so, leading into my next point, so The Wicked Witch. So, as everyone knows, The Wicked Witch was played respectfully by Margaret Hamilton. And Margaret Hamilton, I personally think steals the show, and there's a lot I'm going to go into about her and her performance and a lot of her struggles that she had with the role. And so, most notably, everyone most are aware that Margaret Hamilton, when filming her opening scene, when she comes out of the red smoke and the fire comes out, in that scene, Margaret Hamilton, the trap door misfired, because if you watch the scene, you can see a trap door just kind of like creak open, and it didn't go as planned, and it caused burns I believe on her hand and on her face. And so she had to get rushed to the hospital. And so while she was in the hospital, I also read into this as well, that it's also in the final film, when you see her on screen on her introduction scene for first on-screen appearance. When she's turned around, when she appears, that is not Margaret Hamilton. That is her standby. That is her standby. That is her stand-in. And when she turns her face and you see her for the first time, her facial structures, that is Margaret Hamilton. So she came back from the hospital after after she recovered, and she finished the filming for her scenes. So that's a little tidbit I would kind of give you guys that I thought you'd like. And also, okay, here we go. Ray Bolger also was originally cast as the Tin Man. This I found fascinating as well. He traded roles with Buddy Ebsen, who initially was playing the Scarecrow. And the studio tried multiple costumes and makeup on Ebsen, and 9 days into filming, he started to experience shortness of breath and cramping, and it sent him to the hospital because what happened was the makeup that they put on him was so toxic, and it was very unhealthy for him to have on his face for long periods of time. And in general, he shouldn't have had it on at all because the toxins and the chemicals in the makeup caused the actor medical issues that sent him to the hospital. So you already have now 2 cast members that were already sent to the hospital due to on-set issues. And so what happened after that is they hired Jack Haley. Since that actor who was originally playing the Tin Man had to be hospitalized due to his health, they had to find a replacement. So who we got in the final result, as we all know, is Jack Haley, played the Tin Man. And so Jake Haley. Jake Haley. And so what's interesting about him too is, like the first actor who was playing the Tin Man, who also experienced medical issues that I also mentioned already, Jake Haley also got medical issues from it too. It caused him an eye infection from the makeup, and it was a issue, as one would have. And so Jake kind of he dealt with it, and he kept filming. He was a real trooper, and so he stayed on the production, and that's who you see as the final guy who plays the Tin Man respectfully. Then this truly astounded me as well. May not astound you, but sure as hell astounded me. Was there were 14 writers on this production. Let that sink in. 14 writers, all involved in writing the screenplay adapting Frank L. Baum's classic The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. Excuse me. And so that's an insane amount of writers. And wow. And then number 10 was, this was very shocking to me. The initial plan to have the Wicked Witch in her physical appearance was they wanted her to be this kind of very edgy and very sexy kind of person. And so the producers kind of weren't very interested in going that route with the character, and so they shut down that idea. But the actress who was originally supposed to play the role thought that was the way they were going to bring the character, and they thought the witch should be a little quote-unquote ugly. And the actress did not like that, and she didn't like that they wanted to make her look ugly for the character, for the witch. And so she parted ways with the studio, and they hired on Margaret Hamilton, who went on to be, as we know, as the final result, the iconic Wicked Witch of the West, who I cannot see anyone else playing, as she gives a remarkable performance that truly steals the show, and she is remarkable in every single scene that she's in. Even though she's on for a little screen time that I'll get into in a minute. And so, since a lot of people, and I can speak on behalf of a lot of people I know, a lot of people The production thought that Margaret Hamilton was truly terrifying in the performance that she was giving, and they thought that it would scare and terrify children and the younger audiences to the point where they had to trim down her scenes or cut a lot of them out altogether due to her being so terrifying. And I kind of I understand that, but at the same time, you have an incredible actress delivering a knockout performance, and you're cutting her a good amount of her scenes and a massive amount of screen time that she has into ultimately she had only like 12 minutes. And if you include the scenes before she's the witch, that's Mrs. Gulch and the Wicked Witch, it amounts to about 12 minutes. It's outstanding to learn that because she is one of the best parts of that movie for me. And I would have loved to have seen those scenes that they cut short with Margaret Hamilton, because I guarantee you she gave a lot more than those 12 minutes, and she was such a fantastic part. Not saying that she was a bit upset that they did cut her scenes, as anyone would have been, and that's why she said she would not have returned for a sequel due to the fear of her scenes being cut because of the image that they said that it was invoking to younger audiences, that she was terrifying. To the point where she even went on she loved her role. And she was totally not like her character. She was a very sweet person, from how many sources said. And to the point where she, I believe, went on Mr. Rogers and even said to the viewers not to be scared of her, that she's a very nice person and it was just a character. So I thought that was yeah. So moving on. So many of the iconic moments as well, I never knew this up until this morning, actually, which is shocking. Many of the iconic scenes that we all know were almost cut completely out of the movie. The film's original runtime was an hour and 20 minutes, which, for the time, that's a long movie. For today, that's nothing, because most movies now are like 2 hours and 30 minutes, and hell, Wolf of Wall Street was 3 hours. So, it's, for the time, it was a very long movie, and they had to cut it down too, because they didn't think a lot of people were going to sit through an hour and 20-minute movie. So they had to cut it down 20 minutes. So that's a lot of footage. 20 minutes of footage is a lot to bring down. So they initially were going to cut out the scene where Dorothy sings Over the Rainbow, which is one of the most iconic scenes, I would say, in cinema history, and is an incredibly well-delivered song sung marvelously by Judy Garland. That initially was not going to be in the film. They even cut it out, too. They cut it out, and they cut it due to many reasons, actually. They thought that it dragged out the Kansas bit and halted the story, making the pacing slow down just for this one moment. And they also thought that the younger demographic would not understand the deep message rooted into the song Over the Rainbow, and they wouldn't kind of understand or comprehend it. And they also thought it was a little degrading to have Judy Garland sing in a barnyard. So there was that. And instead of that, they split the difference. So there was a scene apparently when Judy Garland is in the witch's lair and she sings Over the Rainbow. And she sang it in such a emotional delivery of that song in that scene that it even had the cast and crew weeping because of how sad it was. So I believe they cut that down. And then my last few points here. There was a scene in the movie a lot of people may remember, which was when Judy Garland has to hit the Cowardly Lion, and she kept on cracking up and laughing. She couldn't take it seriously, and she found it hard hitting him without laughing. So Victor Fleming took Judy Garland aside, and he firmly slapped her on the face, and right after that, she was able to deliver the scene with no problem. And then number 15, get my points down here. Margaret Hamilton's makeup also, I was unaware of this one too. Her makeup was very toxic, and she accidentally swallowed some and was unable to eat for days. and since she had that issue, her skin also was dyed green, right? So her skin was green for several weeks. And then my last point here was, yeah, Margaret Hamilton's entire screen time, including Mrs. Goldshaw's scenes in the beginning, and The Wicked Witch, amounts to about 12 minutes, which is outstanding. So it shows you as well that you do not have to be in the, like, it doesn't matter how much screen time you have, you can make an impact with as much or as little as possible as you have. You got, what's his name, Anthony Hopkins and Silence of the Lambs amounted to, I believe, around 15 minutes of screen time, which is incredible because he gives an outstanding performance in that entire film and even won Best Actor for it. So to hear that Margaret Hamilton was only in it for 12 minutes and she's quoted everywhere, like, "I'll get you, my pretty." Everyone knows that line. And Your Little Dog too. She was able to convey such a powerful performance within 12 minutes. That's an incredible feat to be had. So those are a few points I wanted to share with you guys about the production issues of The Wizard of Oz, because this film is, by a lot of people, and me as well, one of the greatest films of all time. And it is in my top 3 favorite films of all time. And to know all the production issues that went behind it, with the many directors that came and left, the writers, the actors that were going to the hospitals due to the makeup and all of that, is very stunning and shocking. Because for a film that is so, well, I would say, you may agree or disagree, is a perfect movie to me, and such an iconic and integral part of cinema, to have had such problems and for it to turn out so brilliantly and so perfect, but yet have such troubled production issues, is outstanding. That's why I said it's a miracle this film is such a landmark and such an integral part of cinema that it is, and it worked out so well, is shocking to me. Not shocking to me, but I would say with the production issues I had, it's a miracle. Like, it's a miracle because this film could have gone one of two ways. It could have been really, really good or really, really bad because of all the production issues. And it was incredible. And it's outstanding after knowing all this, that, yeah, it's a landmark of cinema. It's a timeless classic, and it is the most watched film ever. And I would say, I would even go as far as saying the most iconic. And so I thought that would be a fun little thing for me, for me to share with you guys, as I love The Wizard of Oz, and I also love behind the scenes trivia and information. So I thought Wizard of Oz, behind the scenes, I could share both with you guys. I thought it was something fun, and I hope you guys enjoyed listening to it. I apologize again for being away for so long. I've been incredibly busy. I know it's not an excuse, and I will be bringing you guys a bunch of more new videos, and I'll be doing a lot more videos like this, where I'll be doing like kind of my opinion pieces. I think it's a lot more fun. I'll also be doing reviews, so no worries there. I'll be doing reviews, I'll be doing like Oscar predictions, and I'll be doing all that. I'll be doing a lot more. I've been thinking of a lot of ideas. I have many more videos coming to you guys soon, so stay tuned for that. And again, thank you for watching. This is Movie Man, signing off.